Pastor Sunday, you talked about something very important that is one of the biggest lessons again. I mean, every lesson was big.
Yeah.
The word becomes flesh. And that's from John chapter 1, verse 16.
14.
Verse 14. The word becomes flesh. One of the points, again, through the History Makers course was effectiveness and excellence. I see this as a process of the word becoming flesh. You saw the word in someone, and not only sinks into his mind, it becomes actions, things to do every day. You've gotten a word, you know what to do, you make a plan to do it, and then the word there is systems. Could you kindly elaborate more on that?
On the word?
On the word becoming flesh and leading into systems to implement that word.
Well, what I discover is that not everybody will take time to really make effort for the word to become flesh in them. Because it's a process for the word to become flesh, and it's something you need to work on. So here, in this part of the world, maybe all over the world, people don't take time anymore to do that. So I know that as a farmer, as a sower, I needed now to take care of those stones and all that sort of thing. So I had to build a system for them. And one of the systems I built was that I would not just ask them questions. I will ask them questions, and one of the components of the question would be to analyze yourself. Because if you don't see where you are, you will not know where you're supposed to be. And you will not know why you are not where you're supposed to be. So they have to analyze themselves. What they have done, what they have not been doing in conjunction with that word. Number two, they have to now say and tell us, so I ask these questions because they might not be in the position to analytically pose the question to themselves. And you know what something about men or humans and people is that sometimes you don't want to look at your nakedness.
That's true.
You want to avoid it.
And to brush it under the carpet.
So sometimes you need to help them face it. So the kind of questions I ask is to really help you face it. So then when you don't just face it, but then you bring it up into the open. And when they're there in the open, now the question comes, what are you going to do with it? What is your next point of action? What will you do specifically to make sure that this word rhymes with your life, and that this word will become something you will practice? And when will you begin to do that? What are the actions there? So you must give those answers to me. Then I find out if you're doing them or not.
So they're listening to you, they're like two powerful principles that I've seen you apply here. The first one is the principle of evaluation and monitoring. You went back to look at the work you've been doing to see if it's good, like God in chapter 1. And you find that you're only 2%. If you look at the church today, the way it's run, do you think there's much monitoring and sincere monitoring and evaluation to see if it's good?
The reason why these new things I'm introducing I think this is a new thing to the body of Christ. And I think the reason why it is going to be very tough and going to be very difficult is only for serious-minded people. But as time goes on, you are not going to be doing church at all.
Like that.
You are not going to be doing church at all if you don't do church like that.
It'll be phased out.
Yes. You are not going to be having church at all. You're not going to be doing church at all if you don't do church the way I'm saying it now.
Very true.
Now it's going to look and sound hard and almost impossible to implement. But you wait. 50 years down the line, 20, 40 years down the line, well, maybe 10 years down the line. But the whole thing, the challenge this is bringing to the board to the table is that the whole culture of Christianity today does not permit that. the culture of today doesn't give room to evaluation. What is it? What do you call it?
Monitoring
and evaluation. Yeah, it doesn't give room to it. You are not supposed to be evaluated when you come to the church. You are supposed to be covered. You are supposed to be loved. You are supposed to be covered. They are supposed to just say you are okay. You know, that's the culture that we have in the church today. So the culture we have in the church today doesn't require or doesn't even accept for people to be asked questions or to be monitored or to be
held accountable.
Yeah, or to be held accountable or to be make to do things. They just cross the street to the other church. And we had a lot of them crossing the ground. I mean, crossing the floor and crossing the street. But I like that because I discovered that even if I'm there with 10 people who are going to do it, from those 10, I'll make sons. And from the sons, I will bring nations. Because only sons can ask of me.
That was a powerful.
There's even another principle, and I really want you to speak to pastors. You set a new standard, and you demanded that all your leaders meet that new standard, and those that won't, you were willing to not only let them go, but even bless them with their churches. It almost reminds me of Genesis 25 when Abraham, after Sarah died, he married Keturah.
Yeah.
And Keturah bore 6 sons.
Yeah.
But when Abraham got old, he gathered all of them. They called them the sons of concubines.
Yeah.
And blessed them.
Wow.
But sent them away from Isaac, from the true son.
Yeah.
Wow.
So what do you have to say to leaders that they have heard what you have heard? They know that's the direction they should go, but they lack the backbone to enforce the new standard and let the sons of concubines, quote unquote, go with the blessings so that the real son can have room to grow.
If they lack the what? The backbone? If they lack the backbone, it means they have not heard what I heard. Because what I heard came with pain.
Yeah.
And the pain of my realization and the pains of regret that after 15 years I only had 2% resolve. That pain of regret was stronger than the desire to palate or to just comfort or to placate whatever other people. So so I was ready to let everybody go because of the pain that was coming from inside. I didn't want to work for 2% anymore. But if you're just hearing it from me, it's not your pain. It's just the same thing like saying, if I tell you now that I'm having cancer, and you say, oh wow, I feel for you. Wow, cancer, that's a bad thing. I will pray for you. It's totally different if you are the one having cancer. If you have not experienced the pain, you've not learned the lesson.
Wow.
Pain helps the lesson to get in very well.
Wow.